So, welcome to the Kickass Midlife Method podcast, and I'm joined by three women from the community. They're going to talk about their experience of the method, and we're joined first by with Jenny Henderson, who is from Stirling in Scotland. So, you've been in the program for 5 months. So, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about why you started in the program?
Yeah, it was more about the fact that I work from home and I sit at my office desk in the house all day, every day. And I became really conscious that I was just sitting here all the time and possibly not moving enough and felt quite sluggish about it. Just was really aware for longevity's sake that I wanted to try and get a bit stronger and a bit fitter. And also partly because my mum is, I'm really watching her mobility deteriorate. Nothing wrong with her head at all. And she's only in her early 80s. And I thought, oh my God, she's always kept herself fairly fit and healthy, being a stay at home mum and walking the dogs. And why is her mobility going down? And that really affected me thinking, God, if I'm just sitting here all day, every day, I'm worried I might be like that one day. So I thought, well, if I keep my body a bit stronger, then hopefully that will protect against that a bit more in the future.
Yeah,
Real.
and in that time you've lost um almost a stone in weight, or about 6 kilos for people who are in kilos, and about 2%, just over 2% body fat. So, great changes. How has that made you feel, and what do you think is the biggest breakthrough has been for you in terms of that actual body recomposition?
It just makes you feel so much nicer in your clothes. You feel a bit more confident, a bit more comfortable. My body just feels a bit stronger. I feel less sluggish, even when I have sat here all day. At the end of my office day, I feel less sluggish and less. I think I was feeling guilty all the time almost for just sitting here. Yeah, so I mean, it's just lovely to have lost that little bit of weight and feeling happier and stronger in your body, really.
And
Um,
what has been the breakthrough in terms of that? What's changed? What has been kind of like the aha moment for you, whether it was around nutrition, whether it was about, well, let's start with nutrition. What's changed? Because obviously something's changed for you to have lost that
Yeah.
stone.
I think probably nutrition's not the easiest for me, and I know I've moaned about that quite a lot. I'm not very good at putting in the tracking and the detail that I've always, that was expected there initially, and I have struggled with that, as you know. But it has made me focus on more about what I'm eating, and so for breakfast, I'm probably having oats pretty much most of the time now. And I'm just not interested in snacking at all or anything, which I wasn't overly guilty about doing, but it's just made me think about, what I've got on my plate. Have I got protein? Have I got the carb? Have I got, and it's about the balanced macros that has really educated me on how to do that. Even when I'm away out for evening or out on holiday, I went to Italy last September, and still managed to lose a pound after coming back and I hadn't put anything on. I was shocked by that. And I wasn't totally that good the whole time,
Yeah,
so
yeah. So
delighted just by following that simple rule of having the three things on your plate and asking for an extra salad if they didn't have it in the menu, sort of thing.
yeah, so you've managed to incorporate it really easily in your life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then strength-wise, obviously a big reason for you was about longevity and making sure you age well, and you're on a aging adventurously phase now. And actually, on our very first call, I remember you saying that one of the things you really wanted was you'd gone to the Munros with your husband, and he'd said, "Shall we walk up there?" And you were a bit like, "Oh, I don't know. I really want to, but I'm not sure I'll get back." How has
Mm.
that kind of increased strength changed your perception of what's possible?
I think I feel less restricted in what I feel the ability is now. So I'm probably just a little bit more positive in what I think I can do. So even when I'm lifting the weights, I think I'm sort of just, engaging and going a little bit higher when even you think, God, I can't even lift this one. But you just get on with it. And I think the progressive overload took me a while to really get my head around because I was just so determined that you'd set me 8 reps for something. I was going to do 8 reps, not this idea that if I lifted a bit heavier and did six, that's okay. And it's the whole okay sort of mentality of about things that, okay, if I have a glass of wine at the weekend, that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't feel so guilty about it all the time. That just letting some of that go, as well as the progressive overload, was a bit of a game changer for me.
Yeah, and Jenny's really good at, she sends me videos to check her technique all the time, don't you? And how has that helped you feel a bit more secure about what you're doing?
Probably quite a lot actually, because I'm quite conscious of the fact to do at home, and I could be doing something completely wrong, or just not getting the benefit and working the muscle it's intended to do. So I think having, being able to have the ability to do that and having some feedback, and just correct anything that's not right really helps.
Mm. And what has been difficult that you have worked your way through, and now you look back and think, God, I can't believe that I actually found that difficult. And now I think, God, that was such a simple switch that I've just been like, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't done that before.
Um, I think lifting the weights is quite a, I think at the beginning you think, God, how am I going to ever achieve lifting that particular weight? You see some of the chat on here and I think they mention the weights and I'm thinking, flipping heck, I'm never going to get there. So I think that's lovely to sort of be progressing on that now. Yeah, no, I really enjoy that element of it.
Yeah. And is there anything else you'd like to add that you think, that might help anybody listening in either live or later on?
I think it's just, just keep going with it. As you say, trust the process. But it's okay if you have a break for whatever reason, because something's happened, and I think that for me, that's been quite a big thing is the okays of going out and having a meal every now and again and not overly having to balance all the time, every time. As you say, it's consistency, isn't it? Trying to keep going the majority of the time, if not as much as you could possibly can. But if you have the wee break because you want to connect with people or do something different or you can't control it, that's fine. And I
Mm.
think a lot of the people in our age group do tend to go around feeling a bit guilty about stuff all the time and beating ourselves up and not being kind to ourselves. So I think
Yeah.
that's made a big difference to how I feel.
And I think from like looking at your graph just before we came on and in terms of your biometrics, I think also what's interesting and what's helpful about doing a longer coaching program is you can see you had an up at Christmas, but now you're back down again.
Yeah,
And I think that can give you real confidence about it doesn't matter. It's
yeah,
just a seasonal change and it will go back down
exactly.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, specifically that. I was sort of feeling a bit down about myself having that little up, but then it came off again so fast, and I thought, oh, there you go. Then it's just enjoy Christmas. It's the end of the day. It's what it's there for, and then just get back on it. And it's because of the consistency and getting back on it that really helped, and it disappeared again quick.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to ask for Gina. Okay. So, Gina, who is 50, where are you from? No, where are you from?
Yes, cool. Yeah.
Cornwall, yeah, Cornwall.
Mhm.
And you've lost 3 kilos since August, which is what, 3 kilos in stone, pounds. Do you do
Half a
pounds?
stone. Yeah, about half a stone, isn't it?
About half stone and about 1% of fat, but about 8 centimeters off your waist. So I think what is really interesting if you saw Gina's pictures, and some of you may have seen Gina's pictures on Instagram, is that actually, whilst it may not sound that much, her body shape is completely changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, completely changed. So you wouldn't sometimes when I'm always going on about, don't, do your pictures, that everyone's like, oh, I don't want to do my pictures. And then everyone goes, well, I haven't really lost it. But then when you do them side by side, it's sometimes absolutely amazing because of that muscle growth. So yeah, tell us a little bit about why you started and what your kind of your biggest breakthrough has been so far.
So I've been struggling for quite a few years to just get rid of that stubborn weight that's just been around the middle and the hips. And in the past, I've been, fasting, and that worked. But for several years now, it just stopped working. I might lose a couple of pounds, and then, might have a meal out, and then suddenly it's reappeared again. So I was just in this cycle, and saw the Instagram post that you put up, Rachel, and it really resonated with me because you were talking about exactly that, those tried methods that have worked in the past that don't anymore. What particularly drew my attention was when you referenced like bloating and cortisol stress and things like that. And I've had gut issues for over 30 years. And I had to rule out so many things in my diet. And when I came on the group program, you were very honest and said, it will work, trust the process, and it will, you will lose body fat. but we weren't sure whether it was going to help my digestive issues at all. And within a week or two, it was like I was a new person. And, apart from the very, very occasional flare up, my gut issues have been absolutely fine. I've been able to reintroduce those foods. I eat a lot of dairy now. I haven't eaten that for years and years and years, and I'm loving it. It's great.
Yeah. And then talk a little bit about your, because initially you had this great change in terms of, which was a massive thing in terms of being free to eat what you want. But then a part of it, you were losing weight, but a part of it, you came to me was like,
Mm,
actually, it's not happening in the way that I thought it would be.
mm,
And we delved into it, and I said, just track. Really,
mm.
you were like adamant that you were tracking accurately. And I said, let's just check one more week.
Yeah, yeah,
And then what
yeah.
happened?
It was, yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a slow process, wasn't it? To start off with the first couple of months, really. Didn't really lose that much weight and I didn't feel that much different. And yeah, so I really paid attention to my tracking because I was tracking every meal. However, I wasn't tracking kind of like the oat milk that I was having, and wasn't recording, the weight of the food properly, perhaps, and just perhaps guessing a little bit. And the moment I did that, then, and I was on a calorie deficit as well. Appreciate that, but yeah, I really started to see the difference, and then week by week, the scales were showing a difference. My measurements were making a difference as well.
Mm,
And then it combined with that, I was really starting to understand what progressive overload meant. I was perhaps just sticking to the same weight and just completing it, but every time I do a new set, I'm increasing the weights now consistently.
yeah.
So,
And how's that making you feel?
oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, you think like just saying, referencing what Jenny said, you think, "Oh, God, there's no way I'm going to be able to get heavier than this." And then the next week you go, okay, I'm just going to try it. And then you can actually complete it. I think I was always perhaps a little bit worried that I was going to injure myself. I've had injuries in the past where I've been doing weight training and I'm probably not got a very good form. And then I've caused myself an injury, and that's really kind of like stuck with me and scarred me a bit. But trust the process.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how does that change compared to like in the past, maybe when you've gone to exercise classes and fitness classes? Do you feel quite different now about your strength now that you're kind of taking, I don't
Oh,
know, would you feel like you're taking more ownership of it and it's had more an effect?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I've always enjoyed exercise anyway, but this is the first time I've properly really done weight training, and loving the workouts. But the fact that you can actually see and feel a difference as well, it's worth every bit of effort that you put in. Whereas perhaps you go to an fitness class and yeah, it's great, you get the endorphins, but you don't necessarily see the results. And that's what I've been doing for years, going to exercise class and Zumba and whatever. And it's just great, but you're not seeing the results.
Yeah,
And
you're not doing your progressive overload. Yeah. And what's
no,
been
yeah.
the kind of you're now in a one-to-one program, you're getting kind of feedback forms. How has that kind of changed things for you? Do you think it's changed anything?
Oh, it's great. I mean, certainly because I'm battling a bit of a back issue at the moment, and to get yours and Ruthie's advice on how I can adapt the program over the next week or so I can still continue to progress. It's great to get the encouragement and the affirmation that I am actually doing all right. And I mean, I've told myself in the group program, well, no news is good news kind of thing. And the group chat is great for sharing advice and giving each other a pat on the back. But to hear that affirmation from your coach, and the tips and advice that you get is yeah, it's really worth it.
Mm, yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on,
Thank you.
Gina. And I'll just get Jan to come on. There you go. So
Hi,
Jan is 59.
I'm 60 this
Oh,
year.
you're 60 this year, yeah. And
Yeah.
also lost 6 kilos, so almost a stone, 3% body fat. And again, your body shape has completely changed. Perhaps you can share how you felt about your body, you taking your photographs compared to
Oh my
like,
goodness, I hate taking those photographs. Really with a vengeance. It's like I was kicking and screaming, and he'd be like, Jan, take your photos. I don't want to, I don't like them. It's horrible looking at them. You
mm,
know, it's not that I don't hate my body. My body's fine. It's an ordinary body. But it's like to actually take a photograph in your knickers and bra and send it somewhere is a
you're,
different thing.
yeah. But
You
then
know,
how are you feeling now that you are, because as you
well,
said,
as soon
you've
as I
suddenly,
saw a difference, I was like, oh my goodness, I can actually see muscles. I have a waist. My waist arrived, and I was like, that was really nice.
yeah, yeah. So tell everyone a little bit about your background and why you started and how you were feeling before you started. Well,
So
at the
there's a bit
beginning,
of a
really.
background with us, as
Yeah.
in I did Rachel's boot camp years and years and years ago. So I've always trusted Rachel, you know, you've done loads of programs for me in the past with beach boot camps as well as a running program to do long distance runs. So lots and lots. So I knew I could trust you. And basically I ran across America in 2022, 2023, 24.
I'll
Arrived
just
back.
repeat that again for anybody who didn't listen. Jan ran across America.
So I ran 3,000 miles over 4 months. And I arrived back very skinny, uncomfortably, but I think I'd lost all my muscle. And then my mum was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And I came back into a bit of a shitstorm and basically went straight into caring for her, like most days. So 6 days a week, I would go over to my mum's for a couple of hours, help her get up, wash, and do all those kind of things. And it was the beginning of trying to sort out systems to get help in place, as well as having a granddaughter of three, and everything. Everything was just a complete and utter mess. And over the following year, my body fell apart. You know, I didn't know why. I was gaining weight at a ridiculous rate. I whatever I ate, and I think I eat healthily. I thought I ate a balanced, healthy diet, and I gained like 3 stone, 4 stone nearly over about a year and a half. And with all that was going on, I think I just reached out to you and said, Rachel, can you help? What can I do? I didn't. I was a bit lost actually. I was, and emotionally, I was crying all the time. I was in a complete and utter mess. I think you'll remember.
Yeah. And what was your kind of break? And it's pretty interesting for people to hear as well that, Jan actually come from a foodie background, had cooked in the past as well, catered, um, always cooked healthily. But what was the biggest breakthrough in terms of nutrition for you in terms of the
Yeah, I mean, so
program?
that's massive for me. As you say, I come from a foodie background. I even ran a food company, and my meals were always cooked from scratch. It was always, I would have thought a relatively balanced meal. But when I think about what I ate when we were running across America, was basically big bean stews. And, I would eat an egg. I would often miss breakfast because I just wasn't hungry. And then I would have a busy, busy day with work, and I would sometimes miss lunch. So I would grab something on the go. I might grab a croissant, and I would have like sugar lows where I would crash. But then I'd always have this nice, healthy dinner, and I was kind of hiding from the fact that I was then snacking for the evening. We are talking, a large packet of share crisps between myself and my husband, possibly a bar of chocolate, and a kind of packet of sweets whilst watching a film and drowning my sorrows a little bit with the kind of, whatever was happening in my family. So, but I thought I knew about food. So the breakthrough has been really understanding how little protein I was eating, really, because I was probably 60% vegetarian and wasn't eating the tofus and the tempehs and anything else. It was, I'd eat bean stews and that kind of thing. But really understanding that I was under feeding my body calories and protein. So introducing a protein shake, introducing a decent breakfast, and then dinner. I think I'm eating like food wise, I'm probably eating double what I was, and now I don't want to snack. and
And you're
just
losing weight.
and I'm losing weight. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
And I feel my energy is right up, and I don't have sugar crashes at all now.
yeah. And
And that
so
was a regular thing.
was that quite hard for you at first, when I said actually you need to eat more in your head? Did you think, oh, that can't be right because I'll
Yeah.
never, yeah.
And not just in my head. In my head,
Mm,
I was like, that seems absurd. But my body, the first few weeks, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but I was like, I don't know if I can eat this much. You
yeah,
know,
I
I
get
was
that all
sending
the
messages
time.
saying, I'm so full, I don't want to eat it. And you would say, eat earlier, have an earlier breakfast. So you're kind of front loading the day, and then, you're not trying to catch up. You can't catch up if you haven't eaten all day and you get to 6 o'clock. You can't eat enough to fuel properly. And that has been a big breakthrough.
Yeah, I would say that looking at lots of women's when they eat throughout the program, that is often one of the biggest things that's happening is that, we're taught, years and years, we're like, oh, to lose weight, we have to restrict. Therefore, you think, oh, great, I've missed breakfast. I don't need breakfast. Oh, I've forgotten to have lunch. It's all right, I'll have it later. And then ultimately, you've ended up snacking all day. And when you first come to the program and have to eat more, suddenly you're like, I can't possibly do that. And actually, it's more about the structure than the
Yeah.
food. And once you get the structure right, the food just slots in much, much more easily.
And also a little bit like, wasn't Jenny, I think it was Gina that said, being really honest about the tracking. And it's not that you think you're being dishonest about the
Yeah,
tracking, but it's more being complete. It's like, I was doing exactly the same thing. I would be kind of tracking, oh, it's about that much and it's about that much, because it's a bit of a pain in the ass at first. But if you realize how much more progress you're going to make if you actually stick to proper tracking for a couple of weeks, that's when I sort of had a bit of a breakthrough with the tracking, was just being really complete for a couple of weeks. You don't have to do it all the time, thank goodness, because that would drive me nuts. But yeah,
yeah, but just a short, it serves a purpose, doesn't it? In a short space of time, you very quickly realize, oh, that is quite a lot of calories, actually, that avocado. It's not necessarily
avocado, oils,
yeah, it's not necessarily the
dressing.
cakes and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
healthy stuff that you think is healthy. Yeah. And then in terms of just to finish off, talk a little bit about your strength because you'd only ever done, and I should just quickly mention this because it's relevant, is that what Jan had been doing when she was running, and she touched upon it there, wasn't eating sufficient protein. So whilst in everyone's head, everyone goes, oh, it's great. Someone's lost loads of weight. It's a bit like the weight loss medication at the moment. What's happening is you're losing muscle. And when you've lost the muscle, you fry your metabolism. Which is why in this program, we only do very slow, sustainable calorie deficits so that you lose body fat and you don't tank your muscle because otherwise you risk that. But yeah, talk about your strength training because your strength training has been absolutely transformed, hasn't it? And you go
That's
to
been
the gym.
amazing. And I do it at the gym. I did start at home, but I didn't want to get all the weights. I don't know why. I just didn't.
Yeah.
So, and it sort of suits me to go to the gym. I have in the past done strength programs where I've been in a class and I have done, you would add your weights up. I didn't understand about progressive overload. So that has really helped. But the biggest change I've noticed this week, and it's a major breakthrough, is for years, I've mentioned this last week, I can now cross my legs.
Mhm.
I can stand up from sitting without touching the floor. I just discovered that on Saturday. I can touch my toes. All these are all things that I for years have said really inflexible. I can't do all those things, but through this consistency, which seems to run all the way through this program, is consistency, not perfection. Just keep going, and I hit 100 workouts, which actually has meant I've done 2.5 workouts since I started per
Yeah.
week. And
Yeah.
that is through, having a couple of 4 weeks off when I was ill with COVID. It just, through all the lumps and bumps, if it works out at 2.5 a week, that consistency has sort of shown me
Yeah. The massive change
massive
that
change.
makes.
And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
stronger. I'm
Yeah.
stronger. But most importantly for me, my energy is just right back up.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
for people listening, that energy comes from actually eating enough and
Of course.
improved muscle. A lot of the time we can think, oh, it's hormone change and this and that. And actually, look at the foundations. Are you actually eating enough? So thanks for that. Thanks for joining us, Jan. And somebody just said they'd love to hear more. And Jan actually has a little film coming out about her journey across America. So I'm sure she can share that with everyone
I will. It'll be a
in
5-minute documentary, so it'll be quite easy to share.
the group. Yeah, yeah. So thanks for joining, everyone.